The San Francisco 49ers have ruined their chances of making it back to the Super Bowl.
And Brock Purdy's been to playoffs, he's been to conference game and Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
But he didn't get it done yet. And I think when I pay players, it's a couple, either this guy is super elite of the top tier, this guy wins championships, or I see a lot of talent in this young kid eventually is going to turn into either elite or champion. When I see Brock, I don't know if I see that no more.
After nearly a decade of contending, they've hitched their future to Brock Purdy, a great story, but a quarterback who needs stars around him to succeed.
They win a lot, but boy, when they lose a key offensive performer, they don't elevate average people. They don't carry average players. Both are dependent on the advantages of their roster.
Purdy's new 5-year deal makes him one of the highest paid players in the league, but instead of celebrating, 49er fans should be worried. In chasing the magic of Super Bowl 58, the front office has ignored its past mistakes in the true value of Purdy's rookie contract.
I like Brock being paid, but if you're being honest, last year showed me, if I'm gonna pay you this type of money, can you carry my team if the defense is not the same? Because the defense won't be the same. Can you carry my team if the offense ain't the same? This year the offense, it won't be the same. He showed me he couldn't do that.
And now with a gutted roster looming and cap space vanishing, the 49ers may have just bet it all on the wrong guy. And because of that and the other things in today's video, it's exactly why the Brock Purdy experiment is set to fail. Now, first things first, before we even jump to anything else in the video, we need to talk about how we got to this point where they have to pay Purdy now. You see, after years of success with Jimmy Garoppolo that felt hampered by his limited abilities, genius head coach Kyle Shanahan and the team wanted a force multiplier at quarterback. So they traded away 3 first-round picks to the Dolphins for the number 3 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, where they selected Trey Lance from North Dakota State University, an athletic specimen who they thought could develop perfectly under Shanahan. Unfortunately though, Lance was limited by both injury and lack of college experience and didn't translate to the NFL as a starting quarterback. After the first year, San Francisco was still starting Jimmy Garoppolo and needed to tread carefully after giving up so much draft capital. So when the 2022 draft came along, they took a flyer with their final pick, selecting Brock Purdy from Iowa State at 262nd overall. The newly crowned Mr. Irrelevant had put up impressive college numbers, especially in 2019, but was nowhere near the physical prowess of a modern pro quarterback, and he was expected to simply be a long-term backup for Jimmy G or Trey Lance. However, everything changed when Lance broke his ankle early in the 2022 season, and then Garoppolo injured his foot in week 13, and then the nearly undrafted rookie was tossed right into the fire. He did make the most of the opportunity, not only becoming the first Mr. Irrelevant to ever throw a touchdown pass, but also won all 6 of his games with 5 starts. He remained the starter going into the playoffs and took the Niners to the NFC Championship game, where he was injured before the team lost to the Eagles. In 2023, Purdy entered the year as the starter, but on a short leash ahead of a healthy Trey Lance. And truthfully, that leash just kind of ceased to ever exist, especially after he started 5-0 with 5 consecutive 30-point performances. The team did take a 3-game skid after left tackle Trent Williams went down with injury, but returned out of the Week 9 bye, helping San Francisco rip off 7 of 8 down the stretch, clinching the 1 seed so firmly that most starters rested in Week 18. And after those 2 weeks of rest, Purdy led the Niners past the Packers and the Lions in tight contests, including a strong comeback against Detroit en route to Super Bowl 58. And then in Vegas, Purdy had the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs on the ropes for most of the game, never turning the ball over and leading a lead-taking touchdown drive in the early 4th quarter in what could have been a game-winning field goal drive within 2 minutes. However, the Chiefs did force overtime and took the victory after San Francisco settled for a field goal on their opening drive of overtime. The loss didn't dissuade Shanahan and the team from backing Purdy going into 2024 though. But that's the thing, without Christian McCaffrey and even Brandon Ayuk for most of the season, the offense just looked completely different. They stumbled to a 6-11 record, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2020. Purdy still did put up a pretty respectable 3,800 yards, but the rest of his numbers slipped while turnovers jumped up. And yes, you could say that Purdy up to this point has been pretty above average too, especially coming out of college and pretty much for all the standards that everybody had of him. But 2024 kind of revealed, or at least gave us a glimpse of what Purdy really is when he doesn't have all of that talent around him. When Trent Williams, an all-time blindside blocker, missed time, San Francisco lost 3 games in a row in 2023, all to inferior teams by the numbers. And he's not the only player that Purdy has had alongside him, along with just other generational teammates, like with Christian McCaffrey finally getting healthy after joining the Niners in 2022, and being his wildly productive self, only for the offense to die off almost entirely once he wasn't healthy and there to bail out his quarterback. I mean, even when we flash back to 2023 when they both were on the ballot for MVP, Purdy still didn't get as many votes as McCaffrey was getting, and they're on the same team. Like, it truly is showing just kind of how much of the load that McCaffrey was carrying over Purdy and has been truly since Purdy has shown up. I mean, and then you add in when Brandon Ayuk missed the back half of the 2024 season with a torn ACL, and Purdy couldn't make do with just Pro Bowlers George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. He showed a total failure to make critical decisions under pressure, throwing for his worst completion percentage as a pro, just 20 touchdowns, while setting career highs in interceptions, fumbles, and sacks taken. Like, I mean, he posted the worst PFF grades of his career across the board. I mean, he truthfully looked much more like Mr. Irrelevant in 2024 with his weaker arm, questionable mobility, and awful decision-making abilities on full display. Even the offensive genius in Kyle Shanahan couldn't bail him out at times, especially since he can't throw across the middle of the field, even when he has someone as elite as George Kittle there to make most any catches. Like, I mean, truthfully, when he was missing one or even especially 2 of his key playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, Purdy kind of just fell apart and couldn't carry that offense, even when the defense was giving them shorter fields and playing at such a high level too. But we will get to that, especially with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. We're going to talk about that in a second. For now, though, I really want to dive into the contract that they did give their star quarterback. And trust me, the word star right now is in big ol' air quotes. Like, as we look at it right now, Purdy signed a 5-year, $265 million contract extension that kicks in after his rookie deal runs out in 2025. Each year of the deal, Purdy is an average cap hit of $50 million for the 49ers, with a total no trade clause included as a final gift to the man who didn't really do that much when asked to lead the team. And that's kind of where we get to the point now where we need to talk about why just paying Brock Purdy is going to start affecting this team so much, because truthfully, as soon as the money starts moving in the direction of Brock Purdy in 2026, when his rookie contract is up, the super team in the franchise just kind of around him right now, especially just the players that are assembled around him, they're not going to be able to be maintained and paid, so they're going to have to give up some big names. I mean, look no further than teams like the Chargers and Bills, who paid their franchise quarterbacks top of the market money and quickly had to move off of top players like Keenan Allen, Tre'Davious White, and Joey Bosa. And like, that's the thing too, those are quarterbacks who are actually worth the money. When you look at teams like the Saints, who overpaid on mediocre quarterbacks in desperate hopes of turning their franchise around and ended up nuking their salary cap so badly that their franchises are now stuck with no answer under center and nothing promising about the rest of the roster. Like, that's the thing about Brock Purdy. Truthfully, in my opinion, the dude has been carried by his Hall of Fame teammates and just genius head coach in Kyle Shanahan his entire career. And as crazy as it sounds too, both of those are probably going to disappear before his contract, or his new contract, I should say, is going to be done with. Like, thanks to the incredible financial burden put on the team by his contract and Bosa's, the 49ers will have to choose between keeping a few more great players on the field or a somewhat competent roster, which leaves them as either the 2024 Bengals without Joe Burrow or as the Cleveland Browns. Like, let's do this. Picture the 49ers Super Bowl team from 2023, but remove every player who wasn't on a rookie deal except for maybe Trent Williams and Nick Bosa. That means no George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, or Charvarius Ward. Like, that team wouldn't only get smacked by most playoff teams without their offensive weapons or D-line, but they probably don't even make the playoffs in general. Like, that's the kind of roster that San Francisco fans will have to look forward to, and with Trent Williams set to retire in the next few years, the offense is due to plummet even lower than it did in 2024. Like, I mean, even in free agency, San Francisco couldn't afford to retain guard Aaron Banks, leaving Purdy down another top pass protector. And the defense is already feeling the effects of the heavy spending, with Armstead, Ward, and the young strong safety that they had also all departing for bigger contracts in free agency, rather than San Francisco and what they could offer pretty much. And yes, Fred Warner was extended, but his and Nick Bosa's greatness can't make up for the losses, even if first-round pick Mikael Williams is a hit. Like, I mean, in Purdy's best season 2023, the Niners had one of the best defenses in football, allowing the 8th fewest yards in the league with a shutdown run defense, and gave up the 3rd fewest points per game. That was largely thanks to taking the ball away nearly twice as often as they gave it up. If Purdy made a mistake, elite defenders were there to cover it up, and once that stops being the case, like we saw glimpses of in 2024, it's all going to hit the fan. The coming failures will almost certainly end in firings of Kyle Shanahan and/or John Lynch, which only serves to dig the hole deeper until Purdy is gone. Like, the dude used to cost less than $1 million per season, and now he takes up between 10 to 15% of their cap every year for the next 5 years. And the Niners decided to do this all while the rest of the NFC is getting much stronger. With the Seahawks on the rise and the Rams as perennial contenders, the NFC West is much harder to win than it was during the peak of Purdy's powers. Seattle's trying to rebuild a stronger Legion of Boom combined with a Raven culture under Mike McDonald, and the Rams have built the scariest, most refreshable offense in the league with Sean McVay. I mean, that's not even mentioning the rest of the conference too, with the juggernaut Eagles, the rising star in Jaden Daniels and his Commanders, the Minnesota Vikings and their terrifying defense with Justin Jefferson on offense as well, and then you have Caleb Williams' Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions, who nearly took down Brock Purdy when he had everything going for him. Like, obviously, this is a theoretical I'm going to throw out there, but right now, let's imagine the 2028 San Francisco 49ers, where Trent Williams is for sure retired by then. And then, honestly, they've replaced most of their offensive and defensive line, just replacements that they've had, with either cheap free agents or late round draft picks that who knows what's going to happen with those guys. Which, that's not even mentioning that also by then too, either Nick Bosa or Fred Warner have probably been traded for cap space, and that the other whoever's left, whether it's Fred Warner or Nick Bosa left with the 49ers, is leading a young and just kind of struggling defense with rookie coordinators as well, because you know they're going to have to replace the offensive and defensive coordinators as well. And then, I mean, we have the offensive side of the ball too, where Brock Purdy's probably still hopefully throwing to a Brandon Ayuk that one doesn't still want to be there or is definitely past his prime. Whoever knows what's going to happen with him. And then you also maybe have Ricky Pearsall, who we don't know what his prime's going to look like. I mean, the dude got shot and we don't know what he's going to look like when he's actually out there every week, seeing what he can do. And then add in the fact that the offensive line probably won't be that good. So Purdy's literally going to be harassed by defenders all game long, every single week. Like, truthfully, the team is just going to look completely different and far from contenders in the next 5 years is what I think, in my personal opinion. But I mean, even in just this year, in 2025, it still doesn't look like the Niners are even on the right track. Like, I mean, with all of the departures they had on defense, nobody knows what this defense is truly going to look like coming into the year. They invested their top 4 draft picks into that side of the ball to stop the bleeding, but the rushing defense was already a weakness in 2024. And without Ward and the strong safety that I'm going to mispronounce for sure, I think it's Hufanga? Correct me if I'm wrong, I know I am. Leonard Floyd or Dre Greenlaw, the youth can't make up for that amount of raw talent that the unit just lost. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, maybe Ricky Pearsall might make up for the loss of the aging Deebo Samuel, but Ayuk is still recovering from the ACL repair, and McCaffrey may be a shell of his former self with the litany of issues that he had in 2024. I mean, truthfully, if the rushing game has to run through either Isaac Guriendo or Jordan James, that's one less dominant force to carry Purdy throughout his worst moments. Add in the fact that Trent Williams is 36 years old, and that's pretty much all that needs to be said about him. It's more than possible that the 49ers are going to miss the playoffs in back-to-back years for the first time since 2018, and it's incredibly clear that there is only one player to blame. They made a mistake paying Brock Purdy because, truthfully, I don't think he's that special. He's a mediocre quarterback with a great story, but paying him is going to drag the Niners to the depths of cap hell, and there is no easy way back. The Brock Purdy experiment just feels doomed from the start, not just because of his limitations as a quarterback, but because of what his contract means for the future of this team. The cap is shrinking for this team, the roster is thinning, and unless something changes fast, the 49ers could go from Super Bowl contenders to a cautionary tale. And we are back for overtime. I truthfully appreciate all the comments that you guys are throwing down there right now. Throw a overtime in the comment section if you made it to this part of the video. We got the notes ready. We are ready to go. First things first, though. I gave the $5 to somebody that commented. I'll try to have the comment on the screen right now. he wanted a shout out for Mexico. So shout out to Mexico and my guy. I think it was Mike is his name. If I'm wrong on that, you will see the comment on here, but shout out to Mexico. Shout out to you, my guy, for the comment. And truthfully, we're going to hop right into it. I'm going to start the timer for everybody right now. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get to it. So truthfully, with the 49ers, I know it's a bit of a hot take that I know that a lot of people didn't believe in Brock Purdy when he first came into the league, when he kind of had that first 6 games in 2023, and he proved everybody wrong the following year. They made it to the Super Bowl again. Yes, they did lose, but he proved to everybody that he was, you could say the real deal. But even during the season that they did go to the Super Bowl in 2023, sorry. I just didn't really like it was a lot of checkdowns to McCaffrey is what it seemed like. And I personally, for me, didn't think that he was that special of a quarterback. He was good, could get the ball there. And I mean, he kind of made me shut up a couple of weeks, but I just really didn't think about it. And I mean, even as we come into this year too, they still do have Kyle Shanahan as a head coach, and just the continuity that him and Brock Purdy do have, that's definitely something that they're going to keep building on that as long as Kyle Shanahan is in the building. Again, if they say, for instance, do miss the playoffs this year for the first time since 2018, where they've missed back-to-back years, then I do think that Kyle Shanahan is either going to be fired, or if not fired, he's going to be on the hot seat and will get fired midway through next year if it continues to carry out like this. And I think that Kyle Shanahan really does need to figure it out with Purdy and all the pieces that he has around him right now, because for years now, we've all put Kyle Shanahan on this kind of pedestal where we're like, oh, he's this offensive genius. He can do this, he can do that, but he has nothing to show for it except for the NFC Championship trophies, which that's great, but you got to get some other stuff in there if you want to be considered like, an Andy Reid, as crazy as it sounds, a Nick Sirianni. I know people don't think Nick Sirianni is a good coach, but the dude's been to a Super Bowl twice now and he's won one of them. So he has one more Super Bowl than Kyle Shanahan does. So again, I do think that having the offensive weapons and Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and just the other guys that are going to come back, George Kittle will be fully healthy now, hopefully. I mean, that dude's just always probably going to be banged up because he's one of the most aggressive and physical tight ends in the league. But bringing all those guys back just kind of might rejuvenate the offense also, especially Trent Williams getting paid as well, kind of helping that out. So I do think that the offense definitely will still be good. I don't know if they're still going to be as good as they were in 2023, especially nobody knows how good McCaffrey is going to be, especially coming off of the Achilles, PCL, whatever it was. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Personally, for me though, after what we just talked about in the video, I don't think Purdy is worth the 5-year $265. I get it. Yes, you got to pay him that, but even when you look at a guy like Tua, I forget what Tua's contract even is. I probably could look it up right now. Let's see. Tua contract worth. So he got 4 years, $212. So I mean, it's about the same. It's roughly the same. So, but I mean, it's kind of like almost, that's like that mid kind of quarterback range where you're not great, but you're like mid enough to like carry a team. And I think that's what they're kind of doing with Purdy again. But we saw that with Jimmy G. Jimmy G was super mid, and this kind of just feels like Purdy is just Jimmy G 2.0. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think of if Brock Purdy is Jimmy G 2.0. But truthfully, for me, my potential concerns for the 49ers this year, the biggest ones are it's going to be injuries. The health of this team is going to be the main decider for it. If Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, not Debo because he's not there anymore, Ayuk, and just everybody else can stay healthy, then they're going to have success and they're going to challenge in the NFC West. But the NFC West is one of those divisions where all 4 of those teams just bang on each other the entire season. Just like they don't know what's going to happen. And I only have a minute left, but they just kind of beat up on each other week in and week out. And then they go to the playoffs and they get knocked out in the first round too. So it's super tough. But again, just having the turnover and red zone efficiency too, they need to make sure. I mean, I'm looking at it right now in my notes, and it says that the 49ers the 49ers ranked 27th in giveaways and struggled in the red zone, converting only 40.9% of red zone trips into touchdowns. So, I mean, improving the ball security and especially the red zone efficiency, especially if Christian McCaffrey's not available or injured or whatever it is with Christian McCaffrey, they got to make sure they can convert and get points in the red zone, especially with the defense not giving them as many short fields this year. So that's definitely going to be the thing. And then just like I was talking about with the Texans, this offensive line is going to have to figure something out, especially with Trent Williams, 36 years old. There's going to be a lot of concerns for them. And I mean, there even was in 2024. I mean, the offensive line ranked 24th according to PFF too. So definitely trying to show, and I think that kind of can be accounted to just Purdy having to drop back more. They didn't have a run game. I mean, yes, Guriendo was good for a couple games, but I mean, when you have Christian McCaffrey in there, and I know the timer's going off, so when you have Christian McCaffrey in there, it's a totally different ball game than when you have somebody like Isaac Guriendo in there. So I do want to jump to their schedule real quick because it does say that the 49ers, their schedule is going to include multiple matchups. I mean, as we all know, the NFC West is just a bloodbath in of itself. And then I mean, truthfully, their divisional games are going to be what decides who wins that division. Because I mean, last year, I think they went 1-5 in those divisional games. So if they can improve on that, then they might win the NFC West, but it's going to be so tough with the Seahawks and the Rams just being as good as they were. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Truthfully, for me, I've never been a big Brock Purdy guy, but let me know what you guys think. If he's going to bounce back and kind of prove everybody that he's worth this massive contract, going from $1 million a year to $50 million a year. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.